The United States military hospital ship Mercy drifted gracefully through the darkness of space. Its white hull gleamed under the distant starlight, the red cross emblazoned on its side visible from all angles, a universal symbol of healing and neutrality. Commander Olivia Martinez stood on the observation deck, watching as they approached the massive Galactic Council space station. The enormous structure rotated slowly, housing representatives from over 200 species. She felt a mix of pride and anxiety as the Mercy approached. This was humanity's third diplomatic mission, offering advanced medical care to alien species, and she was determined to make it successful. "Coming up on final approach, Commander," said Lieutenant Jack Hudson from his station. "The Council has given us docking permissions for the medical wing." "Good," Olivia replied. "Alert Dr. Gray and have the medical teams prepare for patient intake. We'll be receiving the first wave of refugees from the Centauri conflict zone within the hour." The ship hummed with activity as the 300-person crew prepared for their mission. In the main medical bay, Chief Medical Officer Dr. William Gray supervised the preparation of treatment rooms. At 57, Gray was one of Earth's most respected xenobiologists who had chosen to join the space service instead of a comfortable research position. "Dr. Neal, is the quarantine zone ready for species with methane-based respiration?" he asked. Dr. Samantha Neal looked up from her tablet. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and faint lines around her eyes showed the stress of the past week. "Yes, sir. And we've adjusted the gravity plates in sections C through F for the lighter gravity species." Nearby, Nurse Ethan Powell checked medical supplies. The former combat medic had served in 3 Earth conflicts before joining the hospital ship program. His muscular frame moved with practiced efficiency as he verified inventory. "Blood substitutes are stocked for all major species classifications," he reported. "Trauma kits are ready." Down in the ship's security office, Chief Allison Rodriguez frowned at her screens. The Mercy had only 15 security personnel, standard for humanitarian vessels under Galactic Council protocols. She watched as alien ships moved around the massive space station, something making her uneasy. "Computer, identify that vessel," she said, pointing to a darkened ship holding position just beyond the station's patrol routes. "Unknown configuration," the computer replied. "Hull composition consistent with Vexcar Dominion manufacturing." Rodriguez's frown deepened. The Vexcar were a relatively new species to the galactic community. Evolved from pack hunters on a low-gravity moon, they were known for their aggressive expansion and distrust of older galactic powers. Recently, they had been spreading propaganda about humans being dangerous Deathworlders, whose medical practices were primitive butchery. She reached for the communication panel. "Commander Martinez, this is security. We have a Vexcar vessel operating outside normal lanes. Request permission to raise shields as precaution." Olivia's voice came back quickly. "Negative, Chief. We're a hospital ship on a diplomatic mission. Shields might be seen as aggressive posture." "With respect, Commander, I understand your concerns, but those are our orders. Keep monitoring but maintain our neutral status." Martinez out. The first patients began arriving 3 hours later. The medical bay filled with aliens of all descriptions. Some walked in on their own, while others floated in anti-gravity stretchers. Dr. Gray moved from bed to bed, his experienced eyes evaluating each case. Dr. Kevin Wu, the ship's trauma specialist, worked quickly on a young Jelani with severe plasma burns across its tentacles. "Nurse Powell, I need synthetic skin spray calibrated for high saline physiology," he called out. Throughout the day, the medical team worked tirelessly. On the bridge, Commander Martinez reviewed reports when an urgent communication came through. "USMHS Mercy. This is Transport Vessel Corax," came a strained voice. "We have taken damage from debris and have wounded aboard. Our life support is failing. Requesting emergency assistance." Martinez checked the coordinates. "They're only 10 minutes away at full burn." "How convenient," she muttered. Lieutenant Hudson looked up from his console. "Commander?" "Nothing." She pressed the communication button. "Corax, this is Commander Martinez of the Mercy. We are dispatching aid immediately. Please transmit your medical needs." Chief Rodriguez burst onto the bridge. "Commander, that distress call is coming from the same area where I spotted that Vexcar ship earlier." Martinez hesitated for only a moment. "Noted, Chief. But we can't ignore a distress call." "It could be a trap," Rodriguez insisted. Martinez's face hardened. "Then we'll deal with that if it happens. We are a hospital ship. We respond to those in need. That's our mission." She turned to her navigation officer. "Set course for the Corax's position, full speed." 20 minutes later, the Mercy approached the coordinates. The damaged ship came into view. A small transport with its engines dark. "Life signs?" Martinez asked. "Reading approximately 20 life forms," reported the sensor officer. "Matching. Vexcar biosignatures." Rodriguez tensed. "Commander," she never finished her sentence. 3 large warships suddenly decloaked around the Mercy, their weapon systems already charged. "Shields!" Martinez shouted, but it was too late. The first volley hit with devastating force. The Mercy shuddered as explosions ripped through its outer hull. Warning sirens blared throughout the ship. "Direct hits on decks 3 through 7, Hudson reported, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Hull breaches in medical section 2. Emergency force fields holding but failing." Martinez grabbed the ship-wide communication system. "All hands battle stations, this is not a drill. Medical personnel secure patients and prepare for boarders." In the medical bay, Dr. Gray felt the ship rock under his feet. Equipment crashed to the floor as the lights flickered. He steadied himself against a biobed. "Everyone stay calm," he shouted over the chaos. "Secure critical patients first. Powell, Wu, get emergency surgery cases to the inner chambers." The alien patients panicked, some crying out in their native languages. Dr. Neal moved quickly among them. "We're going to protect you," she said repeatedly in different languages. "The ship is designed to withstand damage." Through the viewport, they could see boarding craft approaching the damaged sections of the ship. In the security office, Rodriguez armed her small team. "They're targeting junction points. They know our layout." She distributed the limited weapons cache. "Standard defense protocol Delta. We protect the patients at all costs." On the bridge, Martinez watched grimly as the Vexcar ships moved into position to prevent escape. "Message from the lead vessel," Hudson reported. "Put it through," Martinez ordered. A Vexcar face appeared on screen. Reptilian features with 4 eyes and a ridge of spines framed a face filled with contempt. "Human vessel. I am Admiral Krezot of the Vexcar Dominion. Your ship is now under our control. Surrender your advanced medical technology and we may allow your crew to live." Martinez stood tall. "This is a hospital ship protected under Galactic Council Convention. We have patients from 18 species aboard, including your own. Stand down immediately." The Admiral made a sound like grinding stones, a Vexcar laugh. "Conventions only matter when both sides respect them, human. You have 5 minutes to surrender before we begin executing your crew." The screen went dark. Martinez turned to her officers. "Transmit emergency distress calls on all frequencies, and get me a weapon." The first explosion from boarding teams, breaching the hull, echoed through the ship. The Vexcar were coming aboard expecting to find easy targets on a medical vessel. They were about to learn why attacking doctors from a death world was a fatal mistake. The first Vexcar boarding parties moved through the breached hull of the Mercy with practiced precision. They were tall, standing over 7 feet, with scaled skin and powerful limbs. In their natural habitat, they were apex predators. Here, they expected quick victory against a ship of healers. What they did not expect was Earth's gravity. The Vexcar soldiers stumbled, their movements suddenly heavy and clumsy. Earth standard gravity maintained throughout the human vessel was nearly twice what they were accustomed to on their homeworld. "The gravity," hissed the lead soldier. "They keep it at Deathworld levels." In the medical bay, Dr. Gray worked quickly to organize the defense. "Move all critical patients to Inner Chamber 3, he ordered. "Neil Powell, prepare to relocate anyone who can be moved." Dr. Neil looked at the alien patients, fear visible in all their different types of eyes. "What about them? They're terrified." "Tell them we'll protect them," Gray said firmly. "That's our job." Nurse Powell had already begun transforming the medical bay. His combat experience was proving valuable. Wu, help me with these cabinets. We can create a barricade at the main entrance. Dr. Wu looked surprised, but moved to help. I'm a surgeon, not a soldier, he muttered. Today you're both, Powell replied. He reached into a drawer and pulled out scalpels, distributing them to the medical staff. Hold it like this, blade out. Go for eyes or throat if they get close. On another deck, Security Chief Rodriguez and her small team took defensive positions. The first Vexcar soldiers rounded the corner, plasma weapons raised. Fire, Rodriguez ordered. Her team unleashed their limited firepower, taking down 3 Vexcar immediately. The others retreated behind cover. They're bottlenecked in Corridor B, she reported through her communicator. But we won't hold them long with what we have. In the bridge, Commander Martinez assessed the damage reports flowing in. The ship was in bad shape, hull breaches on multiple decks, power fluctuations, and communications damaged. She made a quick decision. We need to abandon the bridge. They'll target it next, she told her officers. Hudson, initiate emergency protocol. 7. Lock down all critical systems with biometric encryption. Lieutenant Hudson worked quickly at his console. Done, Commander. They won't access our controls easily. Good. Now we relocate to Emergency Command in Medical Center 2. Let's move. They were halfway to the medical center when they encountered a Vexcar patrol. Plasma fire erupted around them. 2 of Martinez's officers fell immediately. Back, she shouted, pulling her own weapon. She fired rapidly, dropping 1 attacker, but there were too many. Find another route. The remaining bridge crew scattered, running through service corridors as Vexcar soldiers pursued them. In the medical bay, Dr. Gray heard the fighting getting closer. He had transformed the area into a makeshift fortress. Medication cabinets formed barriers. Surgical tools had become weapons. Most impressively, Dr. Wu had reconfigured a surgical laser to function as a cutting weapon. It's not precise enough for surgery anymore, Wu explained as he tested it on a metal tray, burning a deep groove into it. But it should discourage our visitors. Powell had organized the medical staff who had combat training. Nearly a third had some military background before joining the medical service. Remember your oaths, he told them quietly. But also remember that if we fall, our patients die too. A loud bang echoed through the deck as Vexcar forces tried to breach the sealed doors to the medical bay. They're here, Dr. Neal whispered. Among the patients, an alien dignitary named Ambassador Jovan struggled to sit up. His blue-tinged skin was still healing from recent surgery. Why do they attack a hospital ship? He asked in broken English. It violates all civilized laws. Some people aren't civilized, Gray answered simply. The door shuddered again under a heavier impact. In another section of the ship, Commander Martinez had managed to reach a communication station. She needed to get a distress call out. The Miastur Vexcar had blocked standard channels, but every military ship had emergency protocols. This is USMHS Mercy to any Galactic Council vessels. We are under attack by Vexcar forces. Hospital ship with multiple species patients aboard. Request immediate assistance. She didn't know if the message got through. A noise behind her made her turn quickly, weapon raised. Commander! It was Rodriguez, bloodied but still moving with purpose. They've taken decks 4 through 6. We're cut off from the medical bay. Martinez lowered her weapon. How many security personnel left? 8 mobile, 3 wounded, Rodriguez reported grimly. They have at least 60 boarders that we've counted. And they're expecting us to surrender because we're just doctors and medics, Martinez said with a grim smile. They don't understand humans very well, do they? In the medical bay, the doors finally gave way. Vexcar soldiers poured in, weapons ready, and walked straight into Dr. Wu's modified surgical laser. The first 2 fell, their armor sliced open with surgical precision. The others retreated in surprise. Hold the line, Powell shouted to the medical staff. He threw a container of rubbing alcohol onto the deck and ignited it with an emergency flare, creating a wall of fire between them and the entrance. The Vexcar pulled back temporarily, regrouping in the corridor outside. Inside, Dr. Neal moved among the patients, keeping them calm while checking their vital signs. Many were deteriorating. Under the stress, Dr. Gray, she called urgently. The Jelani patient is destabilizing. Gray rushed over. Despite the chaos around them, he focused completely on the dying alien. Prepare 5 units of their blood substitute and get the portable respirator. Now? Dr. Wu asked incredulously, looking at the barricaded entrance where Vexcar soldiers would return any minute. Yes, now, Gray said firmly. We're still doctors. In the ship's engineering section, Admiral Krezot surveyed his prize with growing frustration. His soldiers were meeting much harder resistance than expected from a hospital ship. Already he had lost 12 warriors. Status report, he demanded from his second-in-command. We control 60% of the vessel, the officer reported. But the humans still hold the medical bay where most of their technology is housed. And they fight. Strangely, the medical personnel fight almost as well as their security forces. They are Deathworlders, Krezot hissed. Born to violence on a harsh planet, but they are still outnumbered. Find their commander and bring her to me. Throughout the ship, the human crew was demonstrating why attacking Deathworlders was dangerous. Unlike other species who specialized, their workforce completely, even human doctors and nurses understood basic combat. Their bodies, evolved on a high-gravity world with numerous predators, possessed strength and endurance that surprised the Vexcar. And they were becoming more dangerous by the minute as they adapted human medical equipment into weapons. A respiratory therapist had modified oxygen tanks into explosive devices. 2 nurses had created potent chemical sprays from medications that burned Vexcar eyes. Most surprisingly, the humans refused to abandon their patients, even spending precious time caring for wounded Vexcar soldiers who had been left behind by their retreating comrades. This confused Admiral Krezot as he watched security footage. Why waste resources on enemy wounded? It made no tactical sense. Perhaps human medicine really was primitive as their propaganda suggested. Any species that didn't understand basic battlefield efficiency was surely inferior. How wrong he was, and how much that misunderstanding would cost him. Commander Martinez was dragged into what had been the ship's conference room. Her hands were bound behind her back, and a bruise was forming on her left cheek. 4 Vexcar guards surrounded her as Admiral Krezot entered. Commander Olivia Martinez, of the United States military hospital ship Mercy, the Admiral said, circling her slowly. Not much of a ship left now. Martinez kept her face neutral. You've violated 7 Galactic Council laws by attacking a clearly marked hospital vessel. Return to your ships immediately, and the Council might show leniency. Krezot made that grinding stone laugh again. Always talking about rules while preparing for war. That is the human way, is it not? You claim to be peaceful while evolving, on a world that creates natural killers. We're healers, Martinez insisted. Every person on this ship took an oath to preserve life. The Admiral leaned close. Then preserve the lives of your crew by ordering the surrender of your medical bay. My soldiers report your medical staff has created unexpected resistance. Martinez felt a small surge of pride. I warned you. You have 1 hour to convince your doctors to lay down their weapons or I will begin executing your bridge crew one by one, Krezot said coldly. In the medical bay, Dr. Gray faced a different kind of crisis. 2 wounded Vexcar soldiers had been dragged in by their retreating comrades and left behind when the humans pushed the attackers back. What do we do with them? Dr. Wu asked, gesturing at the unconscious aliens. We treat them, Gray replied without hesitation. Nurse Powell stepped forward. Sir, with all respect, they just killed at least 20 of our crew. Gray looked around at his medical team. I took an oath. We all did. First, do no harm. That doesn't have exceptions for people trying to kill us. Dr. Neal was already checking the vital signs of one of the Vexcar. Their blood pressure is dropping. Different scale than ours, but the principle is the same. Get me a universal translator, Gray ordered. I need to ask them about Vexcar physiology before I operate. This is crazy, one of the younger nurses muttered. But she moved to help anyway. Inside the maintenance shafts that ran through the ship, Security Chief Rodriguez crawled through the narrow space. 3 of her officers followed behind her. They moved slowly, careful not to make noise that might alert the Vexcar patrols below. "Where are we heading, Chief?" whispered Officer Ben Carson. "Life support control," Rodriguez answered quietly. "They've cut off oxygen to sections with alien patients. We need to restore it." They reached a junction, and Rodriguez peered through. A small vent. 2 Vexcar guards stood below, watching a corridor intersection. "They hunt in packs," Rodriguez observed. "Just like the report said. Never alone." "Makes them predictable," Carson noted. Rodriguez nodded. "And that's our advantage." In the makeshift brig where the bridge crew was being held, Lieutenant Hudson worked quietly on his restraints. The Vexcar had used standard cuffs, not realizing the lieutenant had double-jointed wrists, a minor birth defect that was now incredibly useful. "If I can get to a terminal," he whispered to the officer next to him, "I can reactivate the emergency protocols and lock them out of our systems completely." "They've got guards at every intersection," the officer replied. Hudson smiled grimly. "But they don't know about access tunnel J-17. It's not on the standard ship schematics." Back in the conference room, Admiral Krizot was growing impatient. "You claim to be peaceful, yet your medical staff fights with surprising skill." "Humans adapt," Martinez said simply. "Most of us had basic defense training before joining the medical service. It's standard." "Why would healers need combat training?" Krizot sounded genuinely confused. "Because the universe isn't always peaceful," Martinez replied. "Sometimes we need to defend our patients." The Admiral's communication device buzzed. He listened briefly, his face darkening with anger. "It seems your doctors are now treating wounded Vexacar warriors," he told Martinez. "Is this some trick?" Martinez was surprised but didn't show it. "No trick. As I told you, we took an oath to help anyone who needs medical attention. Even those trying to kill you?" The Admiral sounded skeptical. "Even them." In the medical bay, Dr. Gray carefully studied the Vexcar anatomy diagrams that Dr. Neal had pulled from the xenobiology database. Their physiology was different enough to make surgery challenging. "Their hearts are positioned lower and they have 3 of them," he explained to Dr. Wu. "The primary cardiovascular system is damaged in this one. We need to repair it before the secondary system fails too." "I've never operated on a Vexcar before," Wu admitted. "Neither have I," Gray replied calmly. "But the principles are the same. Damaged tissue needs repair." As they prepared for surgery, Ambassador Jovan watched with his 4 eyes wide. "You help those who attack you?" he asked. "Yes," Dr. Neal told him as she prepared anesthetic appropriate for Vexcar physiology. "Why?" She thought for a moment. "Because that's what makes us human." In the life support control room, Rodriguez and her team had successfully restored oxygen to the sections housing alien patients. Now they were working on another plan. "If we can access the central communication array," she explained as she studied the ship's schematics, "we might be able to get a message through the Vexcar jamming." "The array is on deck 2, Carson pointed out. "Heavily guarded territory." "Now," Rodriguez nodded. "That's why we're not going to deck 2. We're going to rewire the backup array and medical storage to broadcast on emergency channels." Meanwhile, unknown to both sides, Ambassador Jovan had activated a small communication device hidden in his robes. As a senior member of the Galactic Council, he carried emergency equipment that operated on frequencies unknown to most species. "This is Ambassador Jovan," he whispered in his native language when all doctors were busy with the surgery. "USMHS Mercy under attack by Vexcar forces. Hospital ship with patients. Violation of neutrality code. Send help immediately." The message beamed out, bypassing the Vexcar jamming signals completely. In the conference room, Admiral Krizot slammed his fist on the table. "Your time is up, Commander. Order your medical team to surrender now." Martinez looked him directly in his 4 eyes. "They won't listen. They're doctors first, military second. Their first duty is to their patients." "Then you leave me no choice," the Admiral hissed. "I will cut off life support to the entire medical deck. How will your precious doctors save patients without oxygen?" Martinez kept her expression neutral, but inside she felt cold fear. The Vexcar would really do it. Kill dozens of innocent patients to get what they wanted. "What exactly do you want from us?" she asked, playing for time. "We're just a hospital. Ship." The Admiral's expression shifted. Human medical technology has advanced rapidly in the last decade. Too rapidly. The Dominion believes you have discovered biological principles that could be weaponized. Martinez suddenly understood. "You're attacking us for our medical research, that's what this is about?" "Knowledge is power," Krezot said simply. "And the Vexcar Dominion cannot allow humans to keep such power to themselves." As they spoke, on the medical deck, Dr. Gray completed the complex surgery on the Vexcar soldier. Despite having limited knowledge of their physiology, he had successfully repaired the damage. "He'll live," Gray told his team as he removed his surgical gloves. "Monitor his condition closely." The wounded Vexcar opened his eyes, confusion evident on his alien face. "Why heal enemy?" he asked in broken English. Dr. Gray looked down at him. "Because that's what doctors do." Dr. Gray gathered his senior medical team in a quiet corner of the medical bay. Their faces showed exhaustion, but determination burned in their eyes. "They're threatening to cut off life support," he told them quietly. "We can't just defend anymore. We need to take action." Dr. Wu looked surprised. "What kind of action? We're doctors, not soldiers." "We're doctors who understand biology, chemistry, and physics," Gray replied. "And we know how the Vexcar bodies work now after treating those two soldiers." Nurse Powell nodded slowly, understanding dawning on his face. "You want to use our medical knowledge as a weapon?" "I want to use it to protect our patients," Gray corrected. "All of them, including the Vexcar we treated." Dr. Neal had been studying data on her tablet. She looked up with a grim expression. "I've analyzed their physiology from our patients. The Vexcar respiratory system is significantly different from ours. They're more sensitive to certain compounds." "Can we use that?" Gray asked. "Yes," she replied. "We can create an aerosolized muscle relaxant that would affect their breathing without harming most other species aboard." Powell added, "We could deliver it through the ventilation system to sections they control." Dr. Wu still looked uncomfortable. "Isn't this violating our oath? First, do no harm?" Gray placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're trying to prevent greater harm. If they cut life support, dozens will die. This might incapacitate the Vexcar without killing them." Meanwhile, in the maintenance shafts, Rodriguez and her team had reached the backup communications array. Officer Carson worked quickly, rewiring connections as Rodriguez kept watch. "Almost there," Carson whispered. "If this works, we should be able to break through their jamming for at least a few seconds." "Make it count," Rodriguez replied. "We need to get coordinates to any friendly ships in the sector." In the holding area where Commander Martinez was now imprisoned with her bridge crew, Lieutenant Hudson had finally freed himself from his restraints. When the Vexcar guard turned his back, Hudson silently moved to the nearest computer terminal. His fingers flew across the alien interface. The Vexcar had managed to access some ship systems, but the core command functions remained locked behind human biometric controls. Hudson carefully activated a subroutine hidden deep in the ship's programming. "What are you doing?" whispered another officer. "Creating a diversion," Hudson replied softly, "and giving control of environmental systems back to our people." On the bridge, now under Vexcar control, Admiral Krezot was reviewing data from the human medical databases they had managed to access. What he saw both impressed and concerned him. Human medical technology had indeed advanced rapidly in recent years. Their regenerative techniques alone would give us significant military advantage, he told his science officer. And their understanding of cross-species biology exceeds even the Alturian collective. "We should take their chief medical officer for interrogation," the science officer suggested. Krezot nodded. "Prepare a team. I want Dr. William Gray captured alive and unharmed. His knowledge is now our primary objective." Back in the medical bay, Dr. Neal and her team had completed work on their defensive plan. They had created 3 different compounds. "The first is the respiratory inhibitor," she explained. "It will make it difficult for the Vexcar to breathe normally, but won't cause permanent damage. She held up a second container. This is a synthetic pheromone that should create confusion in their pack structure. Based on what we've observed, it might disrupt their chain of command temporarily. And the third? Gray asked. A mild neurological disruptor. It will cause disorientation and possible nausea. Again, temporary effects only. Powell had rigged delivery systems using medical nebulizers connected to portable air pumps. We can deploy these through the air vents or directly if necessary. Dr. Wu had been working with the ship's systems through a medical terminal. I've managed to isolate our section's life support, he announced. Even if they cut off the main systems, we can maintain breathable atmosphere in the medical bay for about 4 hours. Gray nodded with approval. Good work, everyone. Dr. Neal, start evacuating the most critical patients through the maintenance shafts to Emergency Medical Pod 3. It has independent life support. What about the Vexcar patients? Neal asked. Gray didn't hesitate. Move them too, they're still our patients. In another part of the ship, Rodriguez's team had succeeded in sending a brief message through the Vexcar jamming. They didn't know if anyone had received it, but it was their best hope. Now what, Chief? Carson asked. Rodriguez checked her weapon. Now we take back our ship one section at a time. Unknown to the humans, their efforts were having an effect. 3 different distress calls had now broken through. Commander Martinez's initial emergency broadcast, Ambassador Jovan's diplomatic channel message, and Rodriguez's coordinates. A Galactic Council peacekeeping fleet had received them all and was already changing course toward the Mercy. Inside the medical bay, the team put their plan into action. They had modified the ventilation system to deliver Dr. Neal's compounds to specific sections of the ship. The first target was the corridor outside the medical bay, where a dozen Vexcar soldiers waited for orders to attack. Releasing Compound 1, Dr. Wu announced as he activated the system. Through the security cameras, they watched as the Vexcar guards began to cough and struggle for breath. Several dropped to their knees, while others staggered away seeking fresh air. It's working, Neal said quietly. Powell was already organizing the medical staff into teams. We move now while they're disoriented. Team 1, secure the corridor. Team 2, begin patient evacuation. Team 3, prepare to deploy Compound 2 to the next section. Gray watched with mixed feelings. He had become a doctor to heal, not to harm. But he also understood that sometimes protecting life required difficult decisions. On the bridge, alarms began to sound as environmental sensors detected the compounds spreading through the ship's ventilation system. What is happening? Crezote demanded. A Vexcar officer struggled to speak through a coughing fit. The humans, they've released something into the air. Seal the bridge, Crezote ordered. Activate emergency filters. But it was too late. The compounds had already entered the bridge ventilation system. Crezote felt his muscles weakening, his breathing becoming labored. Around him, his officers began to show signs of disorientation. This is impossible, he gasped. They are just healers. In the holding area, Lieutenant Hudson saw his opportunity. The Vexcar guards were distracted by the effects of the compounds. He quickly freed the other bridge officers. Now's our chance, he told them. Commander Martinez is being held in the conference room. We need to get her out. As they moved through the corridors, they saw disoriented Vexcar soldiers everywhere, many leaning against walls or sitting on the floor, unable to coordinate their movements. In the medical bay, Dr. Gray received an urgent communication from Rodriguez. We've retaken life support control, she reported, and engineering reports the Vexcar are retreating from multiple sections. What about the bridge? Gray asked. Still under their control, but we're working on it. There was a pause. Doctor, there's something else. Long-range sensors show multiple ships approaching. They appear to be Galactic Council vessels. For the first time in hours, Gray allowed himself a small smile. Help is coming. Admiral Crezote stared at the view screen in disbelief. A fleet of 7 Galactic Council vessels had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel nearby. Their weapons systems were powered and shields raised. How did they know? He rasped, still, fighting the effects of the human compounds in his system. His second-in-command struggled to maintain his position at the console. "We don't know, Admiral. Our jamming was active." A communication alert sounded. The view screen changed to show the face of a stern Alturian admiral. "This is Admiral Genva of the Galactic Council Peacekeeping Force. Vexcar vessels. Power. Down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. You have violated multiple sections of the neutrality code by attacking a clearly marked hospital ship." Krezot's inner eyelids flickered with rage. "This is Admiral Krezot of the Vexcar Dominion. We claim this vessel under right of conquest. The humans were developing biological weapons disguised as medical research." The Alturian's expression didn't change. "We have received communications from multiple sources aboard the Mercy, including Ambassador Jovan of the Council. Your claims are rejected. Surrender immediately or face the consequences." Krezot turned to his weapons officer. "Target their lead vessel and fire." "Sir?" The officer looked shocked. "That would start a war with the entire Council." "Do it," Krezot hissed. But the officer hesitated, his loyalty conflicting with self-preservation. That moment of hesitation proved crucial. The bridge doors suddenly burst open. Lieutenant Hudson and two other officers rushed in, wielding makeshift weapons and carrying portable nebulizers releasing Dr. Neal's compounds. In the confusion, Krezot made a desperate decision. He activated the ship's self-destruct sequence from his command console. "If I cannot have this ship's secrets, no one will," he growled. Warning alarms blared throughout the Mercy. A computerized voice announced, "Self-destruct sequence initiated, 10 minutes to detonation." In the medical bay, Dr. Gray heard the announcement with horror. "They've triggered the self-destruct. Can we override it?" Dr. Wu asked. Powell shook his head. "Not from here. It has to be done from the bridge or engineering." "Doctor," Gray made a quick decision. "Continue evacuating patients to the emergency pods. If we can't stop the self-destruct, at least we can save as many as possible." Ambassador Jovan, still recovering from his surgery, grabbed Dr. Neal's arm. "The Council ships will not reach us in time to stop this." "I know," she replied grimly. In the corridor outside the conference room, Commander Martinez heard the self-destruct announcement. Her guards were distracted by the news, giving her the opportunity she needed. With a swift movement learned in basic training, she disarmed the nearest guard and took his weapon. "Stay back," she ordered the others. Without waiting for their response, she ran toward the bridge. The ship shuddered as the first emergency systems began to overload. The self-destruct was designed to be thorough, systematically destroying the vessel from the inside out. 7 minutes to detonation, the computer announced calmly. In engineering, Security Chief Rodriguez and her team fought their way through the remaining Vexcar forces. "We need to reach the main reactor control," she shouted over the alarms. "Officer," Carson pointed to a sealed door. "Through there," Rodriguez fired at the control panel, shorting it out. The door slid open, revealing the reactor control room. Inside, 3 Vexcar technicians worked frantically at the consoles. "Stop. Step away from the controls," Rodriguez ordered. The Vexcar turned, weapons ready. A brief firefight erupted, leaving 2 of Rodriguez's team wounded and all 3 Vexcar down. "Can you stop it?" she asked Carson as he examined the reactor controls. He shook his head. "It's been locked with a command-level code. We need the Admiral's authorization or the Captain's. 5 minutes to detonation." On the bridge, chaos reigned. Lieutenant Hudson and his team had managed to subdue several Vexcar officers, but Admiral Krezot had barricaded himself behind a console, holding a plasma weapon. "Stay back, humans," he warned. "I will not be captured." The bridge doors opened, again. Commander Martinez entered, her stolen weapon pointed steadily at Krezot. "Admiral, override the self-destruct now," she demanded. Krezot laughed, a harsh sound like grinding stones. "Never. I would rather die than face the shame of defeat by mere healers." "You would kill hundreds of innocent patients, your own wounded soldiers?" Martinez asked. "Casualties of war," he replied coldly. Suddenly, a new voice spoke from behind them. Is this the honor of the Vexcar Dominion? Everyone turned to see one of the wounded Vexcar soldiers that Dr. Gray had operated on. He stood in the doorway, supported by Dr. Neal. Sub-Commander Vexra, Krizot said, surprised. You live, thanks to the humans you despise, the officer replied. They saved my life when our own forces left me to die. They treated enemy soldiers while under attack. He stepped forward painfully. This mission was never authorized by the Dominion Council. You acted alone, seeking glory. Krizot's inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. Silence! You know nothing. 3 minutes to detonation. Martinez saw her opportunity. While Krizot was distracted by his subordinate, she moved quickly around the console and pressed her weapon against his head. Override the self-destruct now or die here, she said calmly. For a moment she thought he would refuse. Then slowly, he reached for the console. Authorization, Krizot Alpha 7. Cancel self-destruct. The computer responded immediately. Self-destruct. Sequence aborted. Relief flooded through Martinez. She stepped back, keeping her weapon trained on the Admiral. Lieutenant Hudson, contact engineering, make sure it worked. Hudson quickly confirmed that the self-destruct had indeed been cancelled. Outside, the first Galactic Council ships were moving into docking position. Sub-Commander Vexra approached. Admiral Krizot. By the authority of the Dominion Council, I relieve you of command for unauthorized military action and violation of galactic protocols. Krizot hissed in fury but made no move to resist as Hudson placed restraints on him. Within an hour, Galactic Council peacekeepers had boarded the Mercy and secured the remaining Vexcar forces. In the medical bay, Dr. Gray and his team continued treating patients from all species, including the wounded Vexcar soldiers. Commander Martinez stood with Dr. Gray, watching as Council medical ships arrived to assist with patient transfer. How many did we lose? She asked quietly. 28 crew members, Gray replied solemnly. But we saved over 200 patients, including all the wounded Vexcar. Ambassador Jovan approached them, moving slowly but steadily. The Council has voted to formally commend this ship and crew, he announced. Your actions will be recorded in the archives as an example of true medical neutrality under fire. Martinez nodded her thanks, but her mind was already on the future. How soon can we repair the ship and resume our mission? Gray looked at her in surprise. You want to continue? Of course, she replied. We're healers. That's what we do. Dr. Gray smiled for the first time in many hours. I'll inform the medical staff. I think they'll be pleased. As Galactic Council officials led Admiral Krizot away in restraints, he stopped briefly near Martinez. I still do not understand, he said. Your people are from a death world. You are natural warriors, yet you choose to heal even your enemies. Martinez looked at him steadily. That's precisely because we are from a death world. We know the value of life because we know how easily it can be lost. The Admiral was led away, still pondering her words. Throughout the galaxy, news was already spreading. Attacking a human hospital ship was indeed a fatal mistake. Not because humans were vicious warriors, but because their compassion was as powerful as their strength. The USMHS Mercy would sail, again carrying its message of healing across the stars. And no one would dare attack it again.